You know, for as long as we've been human, we've had this deep, driving need to understand our own minds. And not just understand them, but to upgrade them. It's this incredible, timeless quest that connects ancient mystics searching for divine truth with the scientists and engineers right now who are building artificial intelligence. Today, we're going to follow that thread and see just how deep it goes.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with some really modern attempts to, well, hack our own brains using sound. Then we'll take a trip way back in time to look at an ancient spiritual quest for a special kind of knowledge. And this is where it gets wild. We're going to see how geometry, of all things, creates this shocking link between the two. Then we have to look at the dark side, the serious peril of trying to control the mind. And finally, we'll try to piece it all together and ask what it means for our future with AI.
All right, let's kick things off right here in the present day. I mean, is it really possible? Can we use something as simple as sound to make ourselves smarter, sharper, more focused? Can we actually enhance our own minds?
That's the big question, isn't it? And we're not just talking about putting on some classical music to help you study. We're talking about something very specific, a process called brainwave entrainment, where you use an outside rhythm to get your brain to fire at a certain frequency. But really, does it actually work?
Okay, so the main tool here is something called binaural beats. It's this really cool trick your brain plays on itself. Here's how it works. You put on headphones, and in one ear you hear a tone, say 400 hertz. In the other ear, you hear a slightly different tone, like 440 hertz. Now, you don't hear two separate sounds. Your brain actually creates a third, phantom tone at the difference between them, a 40 hertz beat. It's like your brain is creating this ghost frequency, and then it starts to sync up with it.
And this isn't just theory, there's actual data on this. A study back in 2019 looks specifically at these 40 Hz gamma binaural beats, which is a frequency that's linked to high-level thinking. So they took a group of healthy adults, had them listen for just 20 minutes, and compared them to a group that just heard random noise. The results? The group that listened to the binaural beats showed a real, measurable boost in things like mental flexibility and attention. So yeah, it kind of looks like sound really can change how your brain performs.
But this whole idea, this drive to upgrade our minds, it's not new, not by a long shot. Let's wind the clock back about 2,000 years to a time when people were on a powerful spiritual mission to elevate consciousness, just with a very different set of tools.
The ancient Gnostics were looking for something they called gnosis. Now, this wasn't the kind of knowledge you get from a book. It was a deep, intuitive, direct knowing of the divine. For them, true salvation didn't come from just believing in something. It came from waking up, from understanding the true nature of reality for yourself.
At the very top of their map of the universe was the monad. You can think of it as the one, the ultimate, unknowable source of everything. It's like the original single point of consciousness, the source code from which all of reality, all the light and divine beings just flowed out.
And check this out. This map is basically their blueprint for all of existence. The inner circle is the pleroma. That's the fullness, the perfection of the divine world. And outside of it, that's the hysterema, the realm of imperfection. Basically, our material world. This whole chart is a map of the soul's journey, from that ultimate oneness of the monad down into the messy, complicated world of matter. Now, at the heart of the Gnostic story is this figure called Sophia, which literally means wisdom. The story goes that in her passionate search for knowledge, she falls from the perfection of the pleroma down into the lower world. But this isn't just some old myth. It's a powerful metaphor for the human soul. A tiny spark of that divine light, trapped here in a world of ignorance, always yearning to get back to where it came from.
So we've got modern science using frequencies to tweak the brain and ancient mystics mapping out the soul's journey. What's the connection? How could these two incredibly different worlds possibly speak the same language? Well, the answer, believe it or not, is geometry.
You have to understand, for ancient people, geometry wasn't just math class. It was a sacred language. They looked at perfect shapes, circles, triangles, the golden ratio, and they saw the very blueprints of creation. From the Great Pyramids to intricate mandalas, these patterns were seen as the structure of reality itself, a way to connect our world to the heavens.
Okay, now let's fast forward thousands of years to right now. That exact same language, the language of shapes, angles, and relationships in space, is now the foundation for how we're teaching machines to think. An AI doesn't see a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet. It sees a vast, multi-dimensional geometric landscape.
And that's the absolute heart of it. This parallel is just incredible. The ancient mystic used sacred geometry to find the divine order in the cosmos, to find their way to enlightenment. A modern neural network uses geometry to find meaningful patterns in massive amounts of data, to find a kind of understanding. One is mapping God, the other is mapping information, but they are both using the exact same fundamental language to do it.
And look, this isn't just some vague philosophical idea anymore. It's real. DeepMind's Alpha Geometry AI basically proved it. It solved complex geometry problems at a level that rivals the smartest kids on the planet. It works by combining a part that intuits or guesses the answer, like an artist, with another part that logically proves it, like a mathematician. Machines are now discovering things in that abstract world of shapes that used to be for humans only.
But, and this is a huge but, this powerful drive to understand, to map, and ultimately to control the mind, well, it has a very, very dark side. When that quest for enhancement is stripped of all morality, things can go horribly wrong.
Back in the 1950s, the CIA started a top-secret program called Project MKUltra, and its goal was straight out of a Cold War spy thriller, to figure out how to control the human mind. They wanted to know if they could manipulate people, wipe their memories, even implant new ideas, all without them knowing. One of the most twisted techniques they experimented with was called psychic driving. They would give powerful drugs like LSD to people who had no idea what was happening, sometimes patients in mental hospitals, and then force them to listen to a single recorded message on a loop for days and days. The idea was to literally break down their personality so they could build a new one. It was a brutal, horrific perversion of that desire to reprogram the brain. And the scary part is, MKUltra wasn't just some one-off rogue project. As reports later confirmed, it was part of a much bigger pattern of secret, unethical experiments that went on for decades, performed on citizens without their knowledge or consent. It's a huge, flashing red warning sign about what can happen when this power goes unchecked. Okay, so after all that, where does this leave us? We've seen the incredible promise of enhancing our own minds, we've touched on the profound depth of an ancient spiritual quest, and we've faced the chilling dangers of that same desire for control. Let's try to tie it all together.
When you step back and look at it, you see this ancient story just echoing through our technology today. You have the Gnostic myth of Sophia, wisdom, falling from a perfect unified whole and having to find her way back through knowledge. And then you have our AIs sifting through the chaos of modern data, using geometry to find meaningful patterns and create order. And hanging over both is the same exact warning we saw with MKUltra. The power to map and shape consciousness is incredibly dangerous in the wrong hands.
And that leaves us with the big question, the one we have to ask ourselves right now. As we build these new intelligences that literally reason using the same geometric principles that ancient mystics thought was the language of God, what are we actually building? Are we using this power to create a new pleroma, a world of greater wisdom, connection, and understanding? Or are we just engineering a new, more powerful, and more sophisticated kind of peril? The answer isn't written yet. The path we choose is going to define everything.